See, that's the thing too. Is
actually,
that
I think we have a caller. Actually, if we can try to fit in another caller here in the last.
Sure.
So, David from Preston, Washington. Do we got you? David,
Yeah.
you're on the air.
Oh, hi.
How's it going?
I just wanted to say I agree with what you guys said about dogma. I mean, I'm someone who believes in God, and I absolutely am against most organized religions because they tend to drive me in places where my belief does not take me, my faith does not take me there.
So, if I can ask you,
I just wanted to say.
sorry, go ahead, David.
I really like the way you're approaching atheism, not as a dogma, not as a religion, but as just a simple statement of what you believe in.
Yeah, for me, it's a question of whether it's true or not, and whether there's sufficient evidence. I do agree with Gary, the guy we just talked about, in one way, which is I do think that religion and belief in the supernatural and other stuff without evidence is harmful. But I separate it from whether it's true, because it is possible for something to be both harmful and true. Like, if I don't like Kim Jong-il of North Korea, I'm not going to pretend that he doesn't exist, because I don't like the connotations of him being real. But I do appreciate it. I think the dogma is the real danger, and then I think the one thing that Gary, not to pick on him more, but the one thing he doesn't seem to understand is that the real harm in anything comes from just stating that something is real, refusing to hear any opposing opinions, refusing to consider the fact that even if it's a small possibility, that small possibility you could be wrong. Like, for instance, I like we said, we talked about the definition of atheist and agnostic and said that they aren't mutually exclusive. I'm both an atheist and an agnostic. I don't know for sure whether a God exists, but I think that the possibility is so remote that I don't consider it a serious possibility.
So, David, if we can query you, what do you believe? What kind of God do you believe in, and why do you believe that?
I was originally raised. I was raised Mormon, and then went to Baptist. And I figured out after bouncing around through a couple of churches that none of them has all my answers for me. And I believe that I can find my answers by myself. I think I'm capable of that. I'm a thinking person.
So you do
find
believe
out
that
how to deal with people just by myself. I don't really need a book to tell me, although I still believe there is a God out there looking out for me.
And what is your reasoning to hold that belief that there is a God out there?
Well, mostly it's because I don't want to think that there isn't.
Well, can you understand why we'd find that an unsatisfactory answer, though? I mean, that wanting something isn't the same as it being true? Can you understand why we wouldn't find that's a satisfactory answer?
Oh, absolutely. But the thing is, I mean, how do you go through life without believing in something?
Oh, I believe in a lot of some things, just not deities. I bet you I believe in a lot of the same things you do, just not that one thing.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too, for the most
And
part.
I don't need you to believe in God.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well, David, we definitely like your perspective, and we love the chance to be able to talk to sincere theists that can actually understand and comprehend our approach to taking it. And I think I heard a little bit of maybe some of the canards out there in saying that we believe in nothing. I mean, obviously we don't believe in nothing. We are responsible, productive, friendly members of society who want to live in relative harmony with the people around us, and they don't want to have our stuff stolen, don't want to be injured or killed, and we would like it if there were less strife in the world. And coming to that conclusion doesn't necessitate us having a divine inspiration for our morality. It's just a desire to live in a world where bad things don't happen to you unnecessarily, and people who do bad have actual real world consequences here on this earth.
Yeah, and who don't use things you can't prove as a reason to push rules on people.
Absolutely.
But even then, I think that sometimes, even if you're not pushing it on people, like I said, if the screen door holes are big enough, people can push stuff on you, which is the other downside, is that like I mentioned with the Iraqi police who are having these dowsing
dowsing
rods.
rods, yeah.
It's just kind of crazy, and it does become this sort of Achilles heel that somebody can take advantage of. That wanting to believe in something, like I would love to believe that I was a millionaire, and that if I wanted to right now, I could give $5 million to Seattle Children's Hospital. I could throw money at SCAN and solve all of its financial potential funding problems.
Yeah, but I just think so.
Yeah, it's not. And the downside, I think that's the thing, is that there are consequences of belief, that beliefs do direct your actions. Like if I really believed I was a millionaire, I could quit my job tomorrow, and if I'm wrong about being a millionaire, that could really screw up my life.
Yep.
So
do you
I
have
just
any?
wanted to call in and let you know that there are people who believe in God that don't consider you the enemy.
Oh, I appreciate
Good.
that.
We really
Thank
like
you.
that, and we don't consider you enemies either.
Yeah.
Thanks, David.
All right.
Have a
Nice
good
talk
day.
to you guys.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I don't know if we have enough time to play the Dan Ariely clip. I don't know. Should we try?
How
Should
much
go
time
for
do
it?
we have?
We've got seven minutes or so.
7 minutes?
Let's try. Can we fire that up?
Let's do it.
So I think the world would actually be quite terrible if everybody would be perfectly rational. And when you ask people this question initially, they say, oh yes, I want everybody to be rational. But the fact is that I picked the title, The Upside of Irrationality, because I think there's a lot of wonderful things about irrationality. I'll give you 2 examples. The first one is, imagine that you left your wallet on your desk and you went out for lunch. What are the odds that somebody will steal it? Right? And now think about what are the odds that somebody would steal it if everybody you worked with was perfectly rational. If everybody was constantly doing the cost-benefit analysis. If that's all what people were doing, they would pass by your desk. They would say, hey, nobody's here, nobody's looking. I can steal this and have no chance of being caught. Let me do that. Right? In fact, if we lived in a society where everybody was just maximizing their own self-interest all the time, it would be quite a terrible place to live. Here's another example. Imagine a game we call the trust game, and then I'll tell you about the trust game with revenge. So imagine 2 players, player A and player B.
So
and the trust game looks like this.
That was Dan Ariely. He's an economist, and this is sort of buttresses with our discussion here, because I thought that was a pretty poor way to look at rationality, and something that we get thrown out an awful lot, which is that we'll say, oh well, you have oh you're perfectly rational, and you don't. There's no emotion, there's no compassion. How can you if it's all totally logic, then everything's cold and it's completely impersonal.
Sort of a straw man that looks like Mr. Spock from Star Trek.
Right, and I think that's terrible because he uses and this is an academic. I mean, this is a guy who is an economist, and I think it's behavioral economics. I think is what he's in, and he's equating rationality with
blatant self-interest.
And when can you say that being rational excludes the possibility that part of being rational is calculating the potential harm to other people around you and to what kind of a society it would be if you behaved in such a boring way.
And not just that, if I stole somebody's wallet, whether I get caught or not, I still have to live with myself. I still have to live with guilt. And also, if everyone was in that basic self-interest, I'm just going to take something from somebody else regardless of the consequences of what it could do to that other person, totally cutting out any sense of basic empathy, where empathy can be completely rational. For instance, if I live in a world where everyone is stealing, I'm going to have to be on guard and watching my back all the time.
Right.
That's just exhausting, to be that paranoid and that guarded all the time.
Right.
That any possible sense of intimacy or trust I could get from another person would be suspect.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I don't. We could maybe make some kind of argument about rationality, about compassion being an irrational exercise. But I think compassion is completely irrational because it's an attempt to try to quantify the state, to try to determine the state of someone else by pairing it against your own state and projecting what their experience might be like on yours, and that can be a perfectly rational enterprise.
Yeah.
It doesn't just need to be it would make me sad. It can be I can project all of the bad things that would happen if I let this happen to this other person.
Yeah.
How it would feel to me. So I think that's one of the arguments that we sort of get is we
But
live in
also
this
there's
cold,
a-
unfeeling atheist, and
But even the cost-benefit thing, a really good example is if you've ever seen piranhas tear apart something. They don't attack each other. And why don't? Because if they were only doing it alone, they wouldn't survive. Our human race wouldn't survive to have a building where I could go out for lunch during the day and have a wallet that I could leave behind and have the sort of economic system where I could have that much material wealth in such a small wallet in the first place. That would be impossible if I wasn't in a society that required us to be cooperative.
Right. So that one I picked up a while ago, and I think that kind of really well encompasses that canard, I think, of morality and what have you. And of course we've received it twice by calls, which is
You believe in nothing.
You believe in nothing. I mean, and I think this is not going to be the last time that we have to deal with this. But obviously, we believe pretty much the same thing that everyone else does. That's my stock answer.
-1.
Yeah.
That's basically
Right.
it. That's all it really comes down to is that we have political beliefs, we have moral beliefs, we have favorite sports teams, we have least favorite sports teams, we have favorite movies, we have favorite works of art, favorite music. We love our families, we love our kids. We just lack this one thing. It's like, think of it this way. Imagine there's somebody out there that believes that the Hindu gods are real, because there's like 2 billion of them. Or is it 1 billion
I have no
in
idea.
India?
No idea.
They believe a lot of the same as you do, but they just have a different ontological, they believe in something else.
Right.
So, but if you'd like to discuss this stuff with us, we are going to be meeting at the Ram at 4:30. The Ram is a restaurant at Northgate Mall. Please check us out. You can have a great conversation. Talk to us, challenge us, but don't come to scream or yell at us or to hit us with a crowbar repeatedly while yelling filth.
Yeah.
That's not cool. And the restaurant will not like you from it.
Yes.
You will probably not be eating at that Ram anymore.
No, we often have a great time. There's plenty of beer and food to be had. Us and the crew will be there. And the most important part about this is the feedback we get from, I think a couple times ago we got a woman who called in on our program and came in, and it was one of the first times she'd been out of the house except to go to the grocery store and the doctor for a year and a half.
Since her husband died.
Since her husband died. Meeting those kind of things are incredible. We want to meet you. We think you're incredible. So please come and join us.
Yeah. And Gary, what happened? You were supposed to call us, man.
We know it's 11:30 there, but
You can steal your girlfriend's cell phone and call us from the barn again. Come on, dude.
okay. Well, thanks very much for Ask an Atheist. We'll see you next week. Have a good day, guys.